Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be exploring blend modes using GIMP, and you're going to find if you're not familiar with blend modes already, you're going to find that you get some very interesting effects using blend modes. They're not going to act the exact same every time. The image that you're using, what layers you have interacting with each other, that's all going to produce a result that can sometimes be hard to anticipate. So what you'll find yourself doing is just kind of doing what we're going to do in this video and explore what kinds of things you get when you combine certain things in your image and put different blend modes on them. So we're just going to keep it simple in this video, and we're going to use a very colorful image, and we're going to use some colored text, and we're going to see how they interact with each other and how they produce interesting effects. So I'm going to bring in an image that I got from pexels.com, and I'll have the link in the description. So I'm dragging that into GIMP, and it's asking me, hey, how do you want to handle this color profile? Do you want to keep the one that's in the image, or do you want to change it over to GIMP's default? And I'm just going to convert it to the one that's built into GIMP. And this is the image. You can see there's a lot of color in it, and that's going to come in handy. Not only is there a lot of color in it, there's a lot of color variations. See how this green is not all the same color green? And the reds and yellows, they kind of mix here to get some orange. You're going to see how that affects the results when we begin using blend modes. Now, to use a blend mode, you have to have at least 2 layers. And the ones we're going to be using is this underlying image. And I'm going to lock that so we can't accidentally drag it. I'm just going to lock that. And then I'm going to lay some text over the top. So I'm going to come up here and choose the text tool by clicking the A icon. And I'm going to change the font type from monospace to impact. I want to use a font called Impact Regular, and I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to click on the image, and it's set to black. I want something a little brighter, so we could go with this green over here, but I think I want to use this yellow. Actually, let's use that green, and then we will use, so that's that. We're going to type out the word create here, and we're going to change the size because it's not quite big enough. And I think, you know what, I think I want to use that yellow instead of that green. So let's change the color of this by hitting Control Shift A. Actually, you have to click inside of the text and hit Control Shift or Control A, not Control Shift A. Control A. Select all the letters, and then we'll just change them to that yellow. And click OK. That's a little, I think when we start combining these, they're going to be it's going to be very vivid. So it's not going to take much of, like the green might have been too bright. So this yellow is a softer type of color. Now we're going to duplicate this image or this layer by hitting Control Shift D, and that duplicates it. So now we have 2 yellow layers on this image. If I turn them on individually, you'll see they're both yellow, but I want one to be blue. So let's select this one, choose the text tool, click inside of it, and then hit Control A, select all of them. We're going to change this to a shade of blue that is in the image. So let's grab a eyedropper, and I don't know, do we want a light blue or do we want a dark blue? Let's Let's try this color. No, this one might be good. A little darker than that. Actually, I've got a blue swatch right here. Let's use that one. So now we have blue and we have yellow. We have one yellow and one blue. One's on top of the other. So let's start by putting a blend mode on the yellow create word. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a copy of this, another duplicate, and just save it back. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D, and I'm going to move that one down here. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to lock it. Alright, so now we have a text layer that we can come back to if we don't want to change these. When you start stacking these, you're going to find that you get some results that can be hard to replicate if you go back and try to do it again. So we're going to put a blend mode on the yellow layer first. I'm going to come up here to normal, and I'm just going to start scrolling through with my down arrow until I find one that looks interesting. That one's not too bad. That one's kind of interesting. A lot of these are, ooh, those two are almost the same. So that one is called difference. I want to make a mental note of that one because I like the way that looks. That one's kind of interesting. Grain merge. That kind of keeps the same color underneath, but adds a little bit of an effect to it. It's kind of hard to express with words what that seems to be doing. So you see a lot of these, the way they're interacting. The yellow on the create layer is interacting with the colors below, and how it interacts with the color that it's over makes a different color, and that's what makes these so interesting. Now some of them do a lot more than others, but when you start mixing them, see, like this one basically just takes the luminosity and it lightens it. It lightens the underneath layer. It lightens the luminosity of that layer based on where the text is over it. But I think I liked, what was that one? Difference? I think I like the way that one looks. It's nice, and it's got a lot of contrast. So that's the first one we're going to use. Now here's where things get interesting when you start stacking these. So now we have a blue layer on top of a yellow layer, and the yellow layer's got a blend mode on it called difference. But watch what happens when we put another layer on top and start using blend modes on that. First, the dissolve, I'll just kind of explain what the dissolve does, because when you choose it, it doesn't look like it does anything, but it works with the opacity. So if you take the opacity down, you start to see through that layer. So 70% of the pixels in this layer are opaque. 30% of them are completely transparent. If I zoom in on this, you'll see that some of them are the blue, but 30% of them you can see completely through. So that's how dissolve works. If you choose it and it doesn't look like it's doing anything, it's because you have to change the opacity to get some results. I'm going to put that opacity back up, and I'm going to go back and just start going through these. That's interesting. I don't like how some of the color is completely gone, like right there, but that's what it's supposed to do, color erase. So everywhere there's a color underneath that's the same color as what's on the word, it removes it. There's erase. It erases everything on the underneath layer where there is an opaque pixel on the top layer. That's interesting. You're kind of, the way that one looks like it's working is you kind of get opposites of what's underneath. Lighten only. Okay, so Luma lighten only. So I like the way that one looks. Dodge. So this is what you'll find yourself doing, just trying different things and seeing what you like. Subtract is kind of neat. Grain extract, that's interesting. That's real interesting. I like that one. HSV saturation. That's cool if you want something that's kind of monochromatic. It looks like the blue is taking the color from underneath and kind of using it to make another version of the blue that's on the top. Same with that one. That looks like it's doing the same thing but in a little different way. That's neat. There's a lot of these that kind of gives you a different result. And then you got luminance. So that's all of them. Luminance is the last one in the list. And I think of all the ones that I looked at when we were going through there, this is what I like the best. So just to show you, once you, it's not like a recipe where you just, like if you're baking cookies or something, you might put in flour, butter, sugar, and chocolate chips, and an egg into a bowl and mix it all up. This doesn't work that way. If you change the order of these, it changes the way the effect looks a lot of times. Not every time, but let's see if changing the order of these makes a difference. I'm going to drag the yellow above the blue and see how you've got the same layers with the same effects on them, but because one is stacked in a different location, it looks different. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using them. If you get a result and it's not quite right, try rearranging the layers that have the blend modes on them. You might find something you like better. Now this one's okay, but I happen to like this other one where the blue is above the yellow. I like the way that looks. That's just me personally, but you get the idea. Changing the order can change the way it looks. So now I want to do one more thing on this image and then we'll call this done. We'll call this video complete. I want to take the letters here from the word and I want to select them. So I'm going to point to this little icon down here next to this create, or I could even do this one. I'm going to hold down Alt and click it and see what it does. It loads that selection. Everywhere there was a pixel on that layer is now selected. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to expand it. I'm going to put a border around this word. And I think what we'll do is we'll create a new layer up here that's empty. Make sure when you create a new layer that you make sure it's filled with transparency. Like if I delete this and I do that again and actually point this out, if I click this, this fill with setting, sometimes it can be set to foreground or background, middle gray, white, but I usually find myself using transparency because I'm trying to control what I put on that layer rather than just fill it with some color. So click OK and you get a blank layer that's all empty pixels. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take that same yellow that we're using underneath the blue, and actually let's try green first. Try green, and I want to fill this layer with green. I'm just going to come down here with the paint bucket, select the bucket tool, then I'm going to come down here, and inside of one of those letters that's selected I'm going to click, and it's going to fill it with that color. So now we have a green layer on top of a blue layer on top of a yellow layer. We may end up changing this green because yellow and blue make green, so I don't know what this is going to do, but I'm going to Control Shift A and deselect it, and then I'm just going to run through all of the blend modes with this green selected and see what it looks like. And I'm just hitting my down arrow to see what that looks like. And I'm actually, you know what I forgot to do? In order to see what is really happening, I want to expand this. I'm going to hold down Alt and select those same letters, and I want to grow that selection by about 4 pixels. Hit OK, and now we have, see how we have this, we have this larger area. So what I'm going to do, I should have done this before, and I forgot to expand the selection. So what I'm going to do is create another layer on top of this green one. Click OK, and I'm going to fill that with green, and see how it just covers up the other green, and now I can merge them. And now I have what I should have had at the last step. I have Control Shift A deselects everything. Now I have a, if I put the blue over the top of it, well, you can't see that. But what I have is I have this green layer that's these letters that are filled in. They're a little bit larger than these other two. And that's going to, you're going to see that when we start scrolling through these blend modes. So if I start scrolling through, there's one right there. You can see what I was talking about. See how the green that's got the blend mode on it, that is not over this little part that goes beyond what's underneath it, it's a different color than the one that's underneath it. And what's interesting is it's yellow, even though I filled it with green, it's yellow here, and it's actually yellow everywhere. So, but that's the point. This is going to end up being the border, this part that hangs over, and everything underneath. See, so it's turning yellow because the green is interacting with just the image. These other two layers are making this green part, and that's why I wasn't so sure if I wanted to use green, because it's too much like the two colors that are underneath it. But we'll explore it anyway. Let's see what happens. We'll see what we get. That's interesting. That dark. So there's an example where the green layer, it's interacting with the colors underneath and the image, and sometimes you get the straight green, and sometimes you get a variation of the color, the green with the color underneath. So let's see what else we get with this. I might be zoomed into, that's interesting. That's real interesting. I kind of like that. See the border that's created? Now, what if we like the way the what if we like the way the yellow and the blue look together without the green on top, but we like the way the green border interacts with the image? Well, all we have to do is reselect our green layer by holding down the Alt key and clicking it, and then we'll shrink this selection back. We'll go back, select, shrink, and we'll go back I think we went 4 pixels before, so we'll shrink it 4 pixels. Yeah, and it's right on the right spot. So now what we'll do is we'll just select this layer and hit delete, and that gets rid of the green and just keeps the green outline that's around that text. So now all we have to do is Control Shift A, and we have our border. I wasn't anticipating that I thought the green was not going to be a very good mix for what we were doing, but I like the way that border looks. That's the exclusion with green filled in. So now we can just keep scrolling through. We can scroll through some of the other blend modes and see if we like that. Pretty much just keeps it green, it looks like. That's interesting. That's not too bad either. That's HSV value. You get the idea. You can put a border on text and then add a blend mode to just that border and get some interesting results. I think I like exclusion. Let's see. Exclusion, and what was the other one? Not that one. This one. So LCH chroma and exclusion. I think I like exclusion better. So that is the border on the text. You can see how stacking these and changing them. Now what happens if it's probably not going to do anything moving this around because we punched out everything. The border's on its own layer, so if we turn these off, basically that's what we've got with the border. The border is its own thing, right? So it basically is doing its own thing. It's not really interacting with the yellow and the blue. But like we showed earlier, you move these orders around, the order of these layers around, you get a different result. So that is a little tour of the blend modes. We kind of explored what they do, and that's really a good way to describe it because you're really just kind of feeling your way through what you want as a result, and then when you see it you go, yep, that's what I'm after, and you just keep that you keep that result. So I would save this file. If I wanted to keep it, I would click File, Save As, and then I would just put it in a location where I want to keep it. Let me see here. I have a folder for this video called Blend Modes in GIMP. I'm going to just rename this to and save it as an XCF file. And then if I wanted to create, like say, a JPEG or a PNG, I could export it, come up here to File, Export As, and then just save it as that with a PNG. Actually, if I go, yeah, let's do PNG, then just export it. And now I should be able to open it using Windows Photos. And there we have it. So there is the final, that's the final result. You can zoom in on this and you see how the blend modes are interacting, and we've saved everything to a final image. So that's how you use blend modes and kind of experiment with them in GIMP. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.